This was unbelievable. A cluster of very large and beautiful homes with lakefront vistas who regretted it when the lake came up their front and froze all over their vistas with almost meter-thick ice. Hi, I'm Chris May, writer, producer, and host of This Day in Weather History. A powerful storm system that brought blizzard conditions to western New York created a winter wonderland on the shores of Lake Erie that resembled something out of the hit Disney movie Frozen. This Day in Weather History. If anyone would have seen the paralyzing sight of homes totally entombed in close to a meter of ice, they must have been thinking, let it go, let it go. After temperatures dipped below freezing, with days of persistent strong winds and heavy waves that blew the water from Lake Erie ashore and all over the homes whose front lots lined those shores. On any other day, people would gawk at these properties in awe and wonder and likely envy. But now, as they watched this atmospheric anomaly play out and effectively encasing several homes in Hamburg, New York, in ice, they were likely wincing in pain. Oh, don't get me wrong. Seeing these numerous homes and structures near the shore in this thick jacket of ice truly made for some painting-perfect scenes that would inspire the likes of a Salvador Dali or a Vincent van Gogh. But this was a serious headache for those homeowners. Some areas on these properties were close to a meter thick, and that kind of weight will almost certainly lead to structural collapse and other damages, let alone how the heck anyone gets in or, more horrifyingly, out of their homes. Hoover Beach was the shoreline under the microscope here, and a couple of those homeowners commented that they truly had a nightmare of a time with this. Mr. Ed Meese said, and I quote, "I actually had to go out a secondary door and then chisel my way back into the house by breaking the ice." And a Mr. Hank Kleinfelder told of watching waves reaching a height of about 6 feet in the days that preceded the encasement. And he said, and I quote, "It was really quite unique. I mean, it was horrific and beautiful at the same time." Many who witnessed it, including our Weather Network crew who were there, said the same thing. Welcome to year 2 of this podcast. Right now, you're listening to the full version of today's story on your favorite podcast provider. But there's also the daily podcast video short. They're shot right here in my podcast recording studio, so you get that perspective. And oftentimes, they will include visuals from that day's event, from when it happened, in weather history. So after listening to the full story, go check out the podcast video short on television or online anytime at theweathernetwork.com/weather history. Now, just what happened here? Lake Erie is typically one of the Great Lakes that freezes faster and more thoroughly than most of the other 4. But on this occasion, it was still only actually less than 10% frozen because of the season's above seasonal temperatures. And on top of that, there were long, frequent stretches of this milder than normal temperatures. But winter is still in full swing. So there is cold air somewhere, and it will occasionally swing by, even if for just a brief hit. And it did. Arctic air pushed in. Ahead of it is another push of warm air within the warm sector of this low. There is the draw of moisture from the already open waters of Lake Erie, and because it is so shallow, it's an easy draw. The temperature gradient is so severe that there is a powerful kick to this frontal passage. The wind field that is generated forces waves ashore, and the wind pushes the spray like a powerful paint gun all over the front facings of these homes. And it does this for days as the cold front eventually catches up. When it passes and ushers in the actual winter air via sustained winds of up to 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, it creates the perfect mix for the thick ice buildup. Boom! Elsa releases her ice powers all over Hamburg, New York, and she did a very thorough job, I might say. After the ordeal, the icy spectacle is so stunning, so shocking, that it attracts dozens to the shores of Hoover Beach, again, including our Weather Network television crew. But with so many gawkers and selfie zombies gathering, it became dangerous. Remember that this was a full-on icing of literally everything along the shore. That included wherever anyone dared to tread. And this was an emergency situation, so crews needed to get in. This is not a big city with an infrastructure to support this kind of operation easily, and this gathering complicated things further. Thankfully, despite the safety concerns and the way these homes looked from the outside, no one was required to evacuate. Crews inspected the exterior of homes and told the homeowners to clear any ice-covered vents to protect from carbon monoxide buildup, and we're good to go. Well, except that they were still encased in ice this day in weather history. Tomorrow is March 1st, the meteorological first day of spring. Yay! Not so fast. I have another ice story to tell you. This one is as mind-boggling as today's, but for a different reason. Imagine the once tallest freestanding structure in the world being encased in ice like today's story, but this ice then melts away and falls onto the most densely populated city in Canada, Toronto. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow on This Day in Weather History with me, your host, Chris May.